Today's episode of Spencer Explores the Universe is brought to you by Corn.
It's corn, 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 corn as far as the eye can see. There ain't nobody else around, just me, my wife, and me. And it's corn, 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 from the mountains to the sea. And when it's all been said and done, it ain't enough for me. You can pick it, you can pile it, you can stack it on a truck. You can boil it, you can serve it in a chowder by the cup. You can put it in a fritter, you can pop it on the stove and scream it from a mountaintop so everybody knows that it's corn, 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 corn as far as the eye can see. There ain't nobody else around, just us, my wife, and me. And it's corn, corn, corn from the mountains to the sea. And when it's all been said and done, it ain't enough for me. And when it's all been said and done, it ain't enough for me. Corn.
Let's talk. Nice.
Self-quarantine, day 3,522. Or actually, it hasn't even been a month yet. No complaints. We are healthy. We are fed. We have a home. Got 2 dogs kicking around. All things told. We have plenty to be happy about here in our house. And I hope that also goes for you, wherever you're listening. I hope that you are healthy and you are safe. And yeah, this is a huge piece of shit. Like, let's just call it what it is. This is the biggest piece of shit since the last huge piece of shit that we've all had to deal with. But we will get through it. There will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Summer is on the way. Anyway, there is stuff to look forward to. And I'm excited about my guest today because he is, in my business, he is a booking agent at Paradigm. His name is Joshua Knight. Paradigm is one of the great booking agencies in the world. I met Joshua through my friends in the Ghost of Paul Revere and our common manager. And over the years, I've kind of gotten to know him here and there. And I've been in the music business long enough to identify people who are dinks, and Joshua is not one of them. Joshua is a booking agent employed in the music business, but he is also a lover of music, and he's just a good dude. And so I was really looking forward to talking to him before this all went down, just about what he does and what his life is like. But now, especially, that the music industry is just like, pause. I know everything's disclaimer. We're going to talk about the music industry because that's our industry. Neither of us, I can speak for Joshua here, in any way intend to implicate that we have it harder than anyone else. It's just that when this all went down, our industry was affected immediately, just shut down, no work. So that's what I wanted to talk to him about, because I know what it's like for me, and I know what it's like for my friends. But what's it like for somebody who is usually like booking shows and just like, managing all kinds of people's calendars? And he's got quite a unique view from 30,000 feet. So I was happy to talk to him about that. Additionally, he is part of a nonprofit that I believe in. It's called backline.care, and it exists to bring mental health services to those in our industry, the music industry, who may not otherwise have access to it, because as you all may know, musicians aren't generally viewed in the same way as, someone who works at a company and has a job and health insurance and all that stuff. It's a different industry, and definitely one, I think that history is rife with evidence that, musicians are at-risk people, and a lot of artists are. So we'll learn more about Backline because we'll talk about it in the conversation. We'll open the conversation also just by kind of talking about, like, where did my music go and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you enjoy my conversation. Once again, a phoner, because everything's a phoner now, with Joshua Knight. As always, Spencer Explores the Universe is not actually brought to you by Korn. We are brought to you through the gracious support of Maine Spirits, who bring all the spirits into the state of Maine. So if you're enjoying a cocktail with your loved ones, they brought it here. So towards the end of the show, we'll have happy hour where I will show you how to make a drink at home, which is hopefully, where you are. You can learn more about Maine Spirits at mainspirits.com. They have an app for your smartphone, and they're on Instagram at Maine_spirits. We are also brought to you by Bull Moose, and I can't say enough good about Bull Moose. Though they are not open to the public through this, they are still open. So if you are looking for a new release, Bull Moose will ship it to you right where you are. For more information, visit bullmoose.com. We are also brought to you by Sun Tiki Studios on Forest Avenue here in Portland, Maine. Sun Tiki Studios is a tremendous rehearsal space and performance venue, creative space. If you make noise, this is the place for you to figure out what the hell you're doing. And though they are closed right now, when they reopen, let's descend upon them and make it once again the loudest little room in Portland. And for now, on with the show. You working from home?
We're in Florida at my brother's.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here for 3.5 weeks on an extended spring break.
There you go.
Yeah. So all the turmoil, we've been here,
Mm-hmm.
which has been good.
Like you and your family. Does he have a family as well?
Yeah. So it's him and his wife and my nieces, who are 10 and 5.
And how old are yours?
Almost 5 and almost 8.
Oh, so that's a good spread.
Yeah, so it's nice to have each other to play with and stuff.
That's
And
right.
the e-learning stuff, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
A little trying at times.
Oh, yeah.
So the wife and I are full-time still, and my sister-in-law runs a medical supply company down here, which is essential business. So she's been there, but she's got it all set up with we built her plastic screens, so nobody can actually get to her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She services out a hole in the door and stuff. It's pretty funny, but
Yeah, we went to the hardware store the other day. We're working on some raised beds, in our yard. Just let's grow some vegetables,
something.
right?
Yeah, sure.
And do something, right? But then, we went in there that day, and it was pretty much business as usual. It was like a little bit ghost towny,
Right.
But then the next day we realized, oh shit, we need some hinges, and we went back, and they had built. I mean, very clearly had built from supplies at Main Hardware.
Right.
These sneeze screens, and some of the staff were wearing masks, and it was like, wow, one day,
Yep, happens that quickly.
It's bananas how quickly it all shifted.
Dude.
And
yeah.
I mean, especially I know everyone's going through a thing. Everyone's dealing with it, but I feel like we, in our line of work, especially you, got hit first. It's because we're in the business of getting large groups of people together. Yeah,
we're in the business of mass gatherings.
Right. So,
Ugh.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll touch on these things as we talk here.
Or
maybe not.
As far as I'm concerned, we're in it right now. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, are you recording already?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, man, our industry was the first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went from moving shows from the middle of March to the middle of May,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in a couple instances, the end of April,
Right.
that first week, we were like, oh, all right, 6 weeks from now, great, we'll move it there, And to a week later, Paradigm and William Morris and other agencies doing severe layoffs and everything else. I mean, it went that quickly. And when you look at it, your revenue went, at least for most agencies, zero overnight.
Yeah.
It went from millions of dollars a day to zero.
Mm-hmm.
And no company can, I don't care how much money you have, can withstand that kind of drama, that kind of trauma. all of those words that rhyme with ama.
Llama?
Keep a llama's distance away. And so to watch that happen so quickly and just, it's,
I mean, these
crazy.
are huge companies you're talking about. Just for perspective for the listener, like you have offices all throughout North America and the world, really, right?
Yeah, we have offices in New York, Nashville, Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, San Francisco, and London. And yeah, I mean, this is a global pandemic, as they're saying. I mean, there's just no way around it. And the gig industry, or whatever they're calling it, between not only the music industry but the entertainment industry, restaurant industry, etc., is in trouble. And on the other side of this, we're going to see who comes out. There's going to be a different landscape from the players in the game, and also the rules of the game are all going to change.
What are you thinking about, like the rules? What do you mean?
Well, so I think the rules are going to change, as in the promoters, who, when you look at it, make the world go round in the live touring business. And of course, ticket buyers are the ones whose money are actually going in there, but somebody's got to, if you will, front that money.
That's right.
Somebody's got to have these venues. Somebody's got to put up the guarantees for these artists, give them a place to play. That all costs money. So in the end, we're all, I know people keep saying this, we're all in this together, but we are. It's an ecosystem, much like the food chain or whatever you call it.
Oh, yeah.
Without one, the other one doesn't work. So I think as far as rules changing, and we're still waiting on information from above as the titans of the industry try to work out some sort of roadmap to the future. And in that will be different deal structures. I think there's going to be a lot less upfront risk being taken by the promoters. Hopefully in this interim time frame here, but I do believe that it could, be that way forever. I think a lot of artists are going to be doing door deals. If those of you who don't know what that is just taking a percentage of the door instead of getting a guarantee up front for ticket sales. You go in there on a $0 guarantee and you get 60, 50, 70, escalating door deals, and that's how much money you're going to make. And I see that happening a lot. I also think that this is going to come down to, and we'll see exactly what happens, and we'll find out after this airs, I'm sure. But, shows that are already confirmed and are going to be renegotiated, I believe, to lower some of the risk. And I think
share the risk, right?
Let's say share the risk. Yeah. As I said, everybody's in it together. So if the bands can weather that, in the end, I think they could actually make more money sharing in the risk.
Yeah. I mean, you could have Beck, maybe, rest on his laurels, just to choose an artist out of the air, rest on his laurels that he will move a bunch of tickets and feel good about that as long as the show's promoted really well. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now in the past, some people have the theory that door deals make the promoters work less, right? Because they don't have so much stake in the game. I hope that feeling, or if that is happening, changes a little bit. And if everybody's going to have to be doing these, then that's how they're going to make their money too, is putting people through the door. So, hopefully it's shared on all parts in that way. Now, for my artists, I do a lot of door deals for a lot of my bands already anyway. If you're confident you can go in and do the business and you figured out the math, and you bet on yourself a little bit. So hopefully, for me anyway, it won't be too much of a change. That being said, I think festival offers are going to be lower. I think everything's going to be lower. Is what I feel like. And if you do the business, you're great, but they have to stop bleeding money on some of these shows after the bleeding that everybody's doing right now.
Yeah, it's going to certainly. I mean, to stay on like the betting analogy, it's going to change people's betting strategies, right?
What's the betting analogy? Oh,
Well,
betting. Sorry, I thought you meant betting, like we're all laying down together.
No. Where's your mind at,
Yeah.
sicko?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
As I pace around the guest bedroom that
Yeah,
the
right.
4 of us are sleeping in right now.
Yeah. Can I get back in bed yet?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the gamble part of it, I guess, will be more on the artist side as well now, and
Right.
not just on the promoter side. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's particularly tragic for the music industry. Again, not to like play our violin and try to make it louder than anyone else's, but we just went through, or just starting to get through a period of time when we had to restructure our entire business anyway because people stopped buying music.
Correct. And for us, for me anyway, and for you, you're on many sides of the industry, but on the the live music side of things, we had just come to this era of like, you can't mess with live music.
That's right.
You can't replace that feeling of being in that room with those people and the energy, and you still can't replace that, but we've had it taken away from us.
That's right.
And so now we're turning to the couch streams and the Facebook and Instagram living, and our dear friends, goes to Paul Revere. Sherry had his the other night, which I thought was brilliant, and it went really well. And they made some money, which is great too.
Awesome,
we can talk about other ways to for income for these artists and stuff, but that's now we're going to start seeing that. And now we're going to start seeing some people with some business models on, nugs.net and other people like that are going to have these legs up on these other folks because they've already been doing it. So it's like a plug and play thing. And, artists are going to make some money off of it. Is it going to be the same money as touring? No, I don't. It's impossible.
But it's different money because it also doesn't cost as much as touring. Yeah, but even
correct.
Yeah. But even still, totally. It's not going to. Like, it's almost like when people stopped buying physical, like, CDs, for instance, right? Like, yeah, that's a huge bummer, but, like, now you can upload an album for $50 and have it distributed worldwide. So, like...
Correct. So now you can upload your show and have it distributed, but it's not the same.
No, it's not.
and those same people, that first 2 times, I'm hoping this isn't the case, but I'm afraid that the first 2, the first week or 2 that we're doing this, whatever, people are going to be getting... Oh yeah, here's $20, here's $10, here's $50, here's 15, here's 5, here's 1, here's whatever. But then the next time is a little bit less because that person may maybe not watch you again, or if they do, it's like, I gave money last time. I don't need, that'll come down as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, there'll also be an apathy developed, not out of malice, but just out of redundancy. Like at this point, how many living room concerts have we seen so far?
Yeah.
The Tonight Show is on an iPhone now.
Yeah, Howard and Robin and the gang I think they got their Zoom figured out yesterday, but it's a whole new world. I did a Zoom call with one of my bands the other night, and all they wanted to do was pick, all they wanted to do was play with each other. And we tried to do it on Zoom, and it just, internet connections aren't the same, and it just doesn't work. And, hey, there's something, I know that they're out there. And if you've got everybody's got the right internet connection, there's probably a program that you can actually do that on. Seems to be working with Facebook Live and Insta if you only have 2 people, but as soon as you start adding them all in, I think it's really hard. Yeah. But latency, that's the word. Sorry, not the technical guy over here. But I think that could be something really cool. I think there's going to be bands that are going to be getting around that aren't allowed to get together, that are spread out across the country. I think they're going to figure out ways to do this, whether it's sending tracks back and forth and recording to click track to, and all that, and then putting it together to see what happens. And it'll be cool, man. It's going to be, a lot of people, my dear friend Matt in Michigan said, I think the 3rd or 4th day this was happening, somebody put something up. I can't remember, a member of one of his favorite bands, and he texts me and he goes, dude, the music that's going to come out of this is going to be extraordinary. Yeah. And he's right. The writing that's going on, the chances that will be taken in the studios, and all of those things are, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah. We're learning how to, we're figuring out how to create remotely and put together. We've been kind of like taking a knee and watching what's happening and just kind of seeing like what can be done, who's already doing what, and how can we make our own voice heard through it. And so like we're working on our own quote unquote show, for this. And then also like trying to continue to write music and finish the record that we're almost finished working on. And we just did a remote mix session with John Wyman to like finish up the tracks for the Bell Systems record, for instance.
Oh, great.
Right.
Great.
But like
I know. So just to throw something in there,
yeah,
I cannot believe that was not mixed or anything when I got it the first time, that record. And the best part is for all of you, now I'll take over the hosting duties, who don't know what we're speaking of. Spencer's in a wonderful band called Bell Systems from Portland, Maine, that is making great music. And, he had sent me the record, or Derek, our mutual friend, Derek sent me the record, a couple months ago, and I freaked out. I mean, it's so good. And the best part about it is I'm sending it to labels and other people, and they're all saying, God, the production is insane on this. And then I pass that over to Derek, and he says, dude, it's not even mixed.
Right.
I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so that's unbunbelievable.
Well, that really, I mean, that was like a huge boon for us, because we'd been working on that for just about a year now-ish. And it came together super organically, and we just kept working on it because we enjoyed it and it felt good. And then a band kind of came together. And then Derek was like, I think this is pretty good, and then yeah, you kind of came into the picture, and all these other people came into the picture, and the excitement was high. And then we had our first headlining show in Portland, and then see ya.
Yeah, man, I feel like, honestly, I've been thinking, there's a lot of things I've been thinking about for the last, what are we in, 3 weeks, month now?
Yeah.
And one of the ones that keeps coming to my head is you and Genevieve and the band, because we had something that was starting, and now it feels like it's on pause, and I hate that. And
yeah, me too.
I know you do.
It's the mystery of the whole thing. Like, what's it mean? Like it had that. I mean, I've been lucky enough to step up to the plate a few times in my career, and I'm familiar with that feeling of when you've done something and people are like, yes, this is a thing that we like, and we would like to work with you. And that's a great fucking feeling. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we were there, and it was like we were getting there, and things were like starting to build. And it's like, what do you how do you pause that? Is it paused? Like, that mystery of like, what are we a thing? Do people care? Can they care?
Oh, I feel for you, and I know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of others that are thinking and saying the exact same thing to themselves right now. I mean, there are artists out there, Billy Strings, Goose, in the jam and bluegrass world anyway, that I've watched that are just like, they're exploding right now.
Right.
My band, the Infamous String Dusters, never been playing better, doing better numbers than ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's just like, I hope that they find a way, and by, getting their digital content and doing the live streams and doing everything they can to keep that momentum going, so that when we come back from this, it's doing the same thing for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to come back in the same momentum that they had. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we've been talking about that. Like, how do we stay like lean and mean? How do we kind of like, just stay rock ready, just so we can be in it. When it's if the opportunity presents itself again. But I'm also thinking, as much of a kick in the pants as that was, to have that happen. And it's global. It's not just us. Again, this is not just about me, or it's not just about you. This is a global thing. But like, at least, I mean, we have friends that were out on tour promoting their records when this went down. They've been like building up. They have a lot behind it. They've invested, a lot in it. They have like, there's so much behind it, and they just had to be like canceled, which is even more, I think, heartbreaking than the position that we're in, which is we at least like didn't go over the cliff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I had that first week, I think it was that March 6, 7, 8 week or whatever that was, maybe. Mm-hmm. I had most of my bands on the road. Mm-hmm. I had Anders Osborne up flying into Seattle the day that everything was going down, right? That Thursday, the 4th, I think it was, or something
Yep.
like that, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
the
I
National
had
Emergency Day, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had string dusters in Colorado. I had, everybody's spread out everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, Los Lobos, and everybody's touring. And then you have people in the hot spots, right? Anders gets into Seattle, and all of a sudden it's like, it's changed every hour. And so he lands and he's like, you know what? We're here. I'm going to play tonight. 250 capacity. Well, we have 320 tickets sold. All right, let's put out a note to the fans, right? The first 250 to come get in, and the other 70 get a refund, and we're sorry. And we did that night. 240 came in the door, which actually surprised me. And then we flew them home the next day and canceled the rest of the tour.
Right.
And then the Dusters were in Aspen, 2 nights in Aspen, and I had Spafford coming up 2 nights later in Aspen. So 4 nights in a row of my shows there. And all that information was coming out about those Australians that were there. And it's now spread throughout Aspen. And, my band's sitting on a bus like they're, there's a nuclear holocaust going on.
Right.
And their bunker is this bus. And it's like, and I'm like, guys, just go out there. Don't touch anybody. Don't do any meet and greets. Do your gig. Wash your hands. Get back on the bus. And they're like, and then we did that one gig. We did the second gig. And then on the way to Fort Collins the next day, they start loading in. And then it was just like, you know what? No, we pulled the plug. I mean, they had already loaded in, and they just, at some point there's public safety and it's above you, and it's about others and putting people in harm's way. And that was the day that everyone was like, just stopped.
My takeaway from here, I mean, I'm not like presently on the road. I didn't come off the road. Like, I mean, like the Ghost had 1 foot out the door. They're on their way to Norway, right?
Oh, my poor band. Yeah, I had three bands that were about to go to Europe for over a month each.
Oof.
And one band that was over there. Lettuce was touring around. Your friend Ryan, he's over there, and they are getting to the Italian border like 2 days before they ended up shutting down the country. And luckily the manager was just like, you're not going into Italy. And we had to cancel those gigs. And then they moved on through the rest of the tour. And then at the very end, they put the travel ban on, and I think they canceled their last 2 gigs and somehow got on different airplanes out of different airports and all landed at different parts in the US, and we got them home. But talk about just not only the chaos and anxiety of the health thing, but then, oh my God, what did we just do? We were losing so much money already, and now we just lost more money, and now we're home and we have no gigs for 4 months. And this is the reality that's hitting tens of thousands of our colleagues right now that people are skipping over. And I don't want to get political or anything like that, but like, I know that there's some help on the way, and that these small business loans and that if people can access some of these funds and things that the government has passed, it will work. But, the people are forgetting that there's humans involved in the arts, and people think, well, we can do without the arts, There was a really disgusting tweet that went out the other day from, I believe she's still the ambassador to the UN, but former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, put out a text the other day that she was disgusted that the Democrats had pushed through this amount of money to go towards the arts. And she listed, $75 million to Public Arts Foundation, 25 to the Kennedy Center for the Arts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She goes, don't they know how many hardworking Americans this could have helped? And I went on there, somebody posted it, and I went and found her, and I went on there, and I just wanted to see what people were saying, because that doesn't make sense to me, And people were like, yeah, instead of these artsy fartsies 1%ers getting the money, it can come down to me because I'm hardworking. And I had to write back, and I posted on her Facebook page. I was like, I may have said something explicit, but then I also was just like, do you know how many Americans this did help? And why can't everyone just understand that it's everyone needs help here, and these people that are, not thinking about us and our industry, it's not going to end up well, because we fuel the economy.
Well, there's an attachment to, I mean, I always try to kind of look at it like, okay, well, why do people feel this way, right? Like, there's always been this eye roll associated with like, oh, you're a musician, must be fun. It's like, yep, it's just nonstop fun, just making money, just having fun, period. And that's just not the reality. And maybe that was the case in 1978 when you're Fleetwood Mac and you can, when you want to make a record, you book the huge studio for 3 months and see what comes out of it, because there's just money falling out of everywhere.
Right.
And there's this whole excessive like lifestyle, like up through like the 80s and stuff, with like the, up until when the music business peaked with that, whatever, that NSYNC record that came out that had the highest sales of all time. And then the bottom dropped out. So like whatever people are holding on to, that paints a picture that musicians have it made in the shade and it's easy and the money just rolls in and it's not hard work at all, is utter bullshit. And yeah, there are some people who are successful. And I say to that point, if you have done that work, like, I mean, we would say the same for like somebody, this person would probably have no problem saying that for like a CEO of a company who worked their way up through the ranks and now they get their bonus, like, right? But like, because you're a musician and you're in music and it's viewed as like this, like, disposable thing, and eye roll, like, oh, money for nothing, I guess. It's like, Mark Knopfler covered it in the mid 80s. And it really is infuriating because yes, like I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about Lauren Wayne. I'm thinking about the Ghost Boys. Right. And I'm also thinking about like the next tier up of people who like, you think like, oh, they have it made. It's like, but they have so many people depending on them. And then you think about the venue. You think about what about the person whose job it was to run hospitality? What about somebody whose job it was to run security to keep you safe there? And there's all these people. What about
the people that sit at the box office and sell tickets? What about the person that's the bathroom attendant?
What about the people who load the show in?
All of those people, man.
Yeah, these are hardworking people. I'm sorry. Blue collar people.
Yeah, and they need support right now. And, they can't go online and teach lessons on how to load a speaker box onto the stage. They don't have anywhere to turn right now, and it's scary.
Yeah, it's not like they even get a job at a restaurant right now.
No, like that's the thing, right? A lot of our folks jump back and forth between restaurants and music venues and bars, and all of them are closed, dude. Except for in Florida, where I am right now, which is crazy. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I've got some family down there, and they're sending reports.
Yeah, let's not talk about what's going on down here.
No, let's not. Yeah, it's not.
For a while, everybody said I was a genius for staying here. Now everyone's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, except for I'm still looking outside, and there's no one, and in Chicago is a mess right now.
Right.
So
right. As long as you're doing your part and keeping safe, and I'm
that's
sure
right. We're staying home. I think we've went out once in the last 2 weeks. I have anyway. That we've done a grocery store run a week, but my brother and I went and donated. He's in construction, and he got a bunch of vendors to give extra masks and eyewear and stuff, and we took a huge carload over to the hospital. So it was like the one time I left, which was at least we did something good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess there's enough about what's going on right now. I guess I do, as I touched on, think things are going to change, and everybody's going to have to ride it out, and we're going to see what happens on the other side. But music is still going to be music. At some point, everybody's going to want to get together and celebrate music and be at a festival. And it's going to be interesting to see how big and how soon we get to return to that. I think it's going to roll out in small capacities in different parts of the country first that got ahead of it, hopefully. Washington, Colorado, Illinois, California,
Maine. Honestly, like we're on it over here.
Yeah. So there you go, and those people hopefully will be able to come out earlier. But, what you worry about in that is if you come out early, but the other people don't, what happens if those people come to you, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
there's a million, there are no fixed goalposts. There's one, and that's that we can't work right now.
Yep. That's the only constant right now is that, there's nothing to do.
Right. Although I've been personally pretty busy, quote unquote, not working. I have to say, it's not as chill as.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for festivals in May and June to finally tell me that they're not going to happen. Right. Which is still. Listen, if for some reason in the next 3 or 4 weeks this thing completely just clears itself up somehow, some miracle or whatever. there's going to be some geniuses that held on to their events in May and June that are going to have big old parties going down.
Yeah,
and
seems
I
unlikely.
hope
Though.
it seems unlikely, but I hope for all of our sakes that it does.
Yeah,
yeah.
So. We got a show reschedule the other day, and it was kind of like, sure, yeah, I think everyone kind of wrote back like, yeah, okay. Like
I'm moving a show today for the 4th time.
Oh yeah,
maybe third or 4th time. Yeah. I was one of the ones that I moved from March to April to May, and now it's gone to September. And I'm like, gosh, if we're not back in this by September, it's in some level we're in a lot of trouble. Not just the music industry, but the world.
No, yeah, it's yeah, it's. I mean, we're already in a pit that we're gonna have to dig out of globally for sure. But
yep.
That's just a whole different story if that's the case.
Correct, and then at that point, I don't know. Who knows? Like I said, and everyone keeps saying at our company, no one has a crystal ball, right? It's all just wait and see, and literally sometimes it's been changing every hour. New regulations, new thoughts, this and that. It's crazy.
Yeah, we just got our city council met remotely last night, and I was kind of like looking at my feed to see like when they'd make their announcement. We're now in a city lockdown until the end of April, which is, I kind of expected it to be coming, but to actually see it, it's like, whew.
Right. Well, I think since our president said something on Sunday, right, about going through the end of April now, I believe, I think the thing we've all been using, at least in our industry, is that original CDC date of 8 weeks out, right? So that started in the middle of March. So I think May 15th ish was kind of the thought on our end of, if the CDC leaves this at 8 weeks, which they still haven't extended it, then, mid-May is maybe when some of these people can start talking about gatherings. Well, and I think this is kind of the last thing to touch on as far as the rules are changing.
Right.
Maybe not rules, but processes or whatever you want to call them. We have to take into consideration that none of us, including the bar staff and the venues and just everybody in the restaurant, everyone, those have been furloughed at Macy's now and Kohl's, yesterday. You're seeing all these giant companies do the same thing because they're brick and mortar stores. You can't have people in them anymore. And their online sales have never been, since Amazon and all this. Anyway, those are the people that go to our shows.
Oh, yeah.
So they don't have any money. Right. No. So even if we can gather, can people afford to come? And so there's events that have sold a bunch of tickets already that are like, well, let's hang in there. Like, Fish Tour and Dave Matthews Tour and some of those things that are later in the summer, they've sold 70-80% of their tickets already. I gather, and so they can wait a minute. They can decide in May, maybe even June, if they still want to tour. But those who haven't sold a ton of tickets, those who are planning their fall tours right now, those are the ones that have to be like, okay, I'm normally a $30, $35 ticket. I should probably come down to $25,
Oh yeah.
And it's going to work. I remember after the recession in 2009-ish, with the club business, the 15 to 25, even the, back then there was $10 shows more, but that did well. Those stayed in there. Those kept selling tickets. Those folks that were in the 50 and above range, those amphitheaters and arenas and theaters with a super high ticket, those struggled a little bit because if people have to make a decision to go to 3 shows for $45 or 1 show for $45, they might choose 3 shows.
Yeah, no, it's true, and yeah, like maybe like the $250 tickets might end up taking a knee for a minute.
Totally, that's how I see it. Yeah. Maybe happening.
Yeah, I wallow in my own fair amount of despair. I think like everybody, just kind of like thumbing through it and just kind of thinking about what's happening. But I do have. I don't shoot to be hopelessly optimistic, but I feel like optimism is a choice, and I also like believe I'm not much of like I'm not a God person, you know what I mean? But I do have like kind of faith that, you know, things will suss themselves out. Like it's not going to be the same as it was, but there will be a new thing. And if I think that if we just stay focused and stay, you know, strong, for lack of a better term, like that, you know, we can figure it out on the back end, you know.
There's no doubt we will get through this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We have to. Again, this is bad, but it's not like I used, I think, nuclear holocaust earlier.
No,
that's not what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's a virus. It is going to run its course through this world, and we are doing our best to keep up with it. And, you know, in the end, there will be hopefully a cure, an antidote, a flu shot for it. You know, whatever.
Vaccine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh.
No worries. No worries.
But not a doctor. But you know, as we get through that stuff, you know, I think we're going to come out. So let's all just hang in there, and hopefully we'll get back to bringing the world more joy through music again.
Mm-hmm. I think
who knows, right? Maybe streaming in the record business will come back a little bit.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, who knows? Like, there can be positives out of negatives. You know, there are various. You know, I know that like my family is rethinking how we approach a lot of things right now, and looking at the way even we're spending, it's just like, oh, like we should have been doing this all along. You know,
totally,
because it's efficient.
Look at those emails that have been coming, or not emails, but pictures on social media and stuff of China and downtown Los Angeles without the smog.
I know.
Right?
I know.
And like you see, I think on CNN, or I don't know what it was, whatever news channel I was watching the other night, showed a world map of pollution by, you know, using some sort of infrared scanning, whatever, red, purples and stuff, but went from the middle of March to last week and did a time lapse thing, and it was incredible.
Yeah. It's sad that it takes the fear of death to get people to kind of snap to and maybe think about getting out of their comfort zone, right?
Yeah, but one can only hope that this feeds over into those ways of thinking, like, oh, I don't need to go to Walgreens every day to get something. I could go once a week and grab everything that I need. And then, or I walk that 4 blocks instead of just taking the car because it's more convenient.
Yeah, I'm a believer in that.
Yeah, me too. I hope that those things all spill over. It will for me, for sure. You know, the fact that I'm still happy and going through my days, although they may feel like Groundhog Day every day, you know, but I have gotten in a car twice in 3 weeks.
Today's Tuesday, by the way, just in case you forgot.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes. Now that I've finished Tiger King, I can get back onto a normal show per night schedule.
I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to watch it.
We started the other night, and then just took us 2 nights. I think my wife and brother and sister-in-law and I got through it. It's fascinating. It's just one of those things that, you know, it's like, whoa, and such a crazy time for that to happen, because literally 90% of the world that has Netflix has watched this thing, right? And,
that's right. Yeah.
And
I'm in the minority for sure.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I don't know. See, the thing is, we've been kind of going through like our, I don't want to say stockpile, but I have I do most of my music listening online. I stream, but then when I really believe like in an artist or something, I'll buy something. And if they have vinyl, that's the thing I buy, you know? And so that's how we listen to our music primarily at home, is through vinyl. But in the same way that, you know, we have our streaming services that we subscribe to, but there are some movies that I simply must have access to no matter what, whether the internet's up or not. And so, you know, we've been thinking like, do we binge watch something, or we do have this Alfred Hitchcock box set that we would be enriched by actually watching. So let's do that. So that's, you know, we just did a North by Northwest and the Birds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you went through all the Hitchcock stuff?
No, we're working on it. You know, we might jump over to Kubrick, you know, after this and that kind of thing.
I took a sci-fi movie class in college.
Okay.
That was based mostly on Stanley Kubrick.
Mm-hmm.
We dove a little bit into like George Lucas and some other Time Bandits and a few other things and whatnot.
Gilliam.
Yep. So some Terry Gilliam, some and all that. It was
Probably some John Carpenter.
No, we didn't get into any Carpenter actually, but we did all of the Kubrick stuff.
Gotcha.
And then you throw in the Gilliam and a few other things, one Star Wars movie or something, but more of there was the fantasy part of it and all that. But and it was super cool. I really enjoyed it. I had a hard time, maybe staying awake the entire time through class. It was like a 6 p.m. class, and it was
brutal.
You go back to the apartment and take out the bong, and then go to Kubrick class, and then 2 hours into Clockwork or
man
2001, and you're like, oh god, I gotta. And that was before the days of energy drinks and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to try to find things. For me, driving in my car was my time to listen to new music.
On your commute.
I had 45 minutes to go my 4 miles or whatever. And, but that was when I got into, your latest record. And when I listened to any of my bands send me new stuff, it's like car test, and I throw it on there. And, I've got a new Lettuce record burning a hole in my pocket right now. And I've got all this other stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll put on my earphones, listen to it at my desk. But phone calls come in and the kids come out. And I haven't had, my me time is gone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I was trying to listen to a couple of your podcasts just so I could listen to what I've listened to them before, but I wanted to actually hear the way you talk to people and stuff. And I was like, I was trying to find up 1 a.m. with earphones laying next to my 7-year-old in the bed we're sharing right now, listening to it.
Right.
And that's my me time right now. So I'd like to it'd be nice when we get some of that back.
This is your Bull Moose Minute for the week starting on April 7th, 2020. Though Bull Moose is not open to the public, their stores are closed, they are still shipping. They are still receiving new music and new movies and all that stuff every week. And if you want to order something, log on to bullmoose.com and they'll get it right to you. I just got myself one of those fancy new Bull Moose t-shirts, and I can't wait to wear it. It's in the wash right now. This week, John Anderson and the Warriors. These are lost demos on a 7-inch EP. John Anderson was part of Yes in the mid-'60s, and the drummer played on one King Crimson album. Additionally, and forgive me if I hack this pronunciation, Kahil El-Zabar's Spirit Groove featuring David Murray. It's a self-titled album. It's on CD LP. It's 2 jazz elders bringing along 2 talented younger players. Anybody who is into spiritual jazz will love this. And I trust this text because it comes from Chris, and he knows what he's talking about. Lastly, John Swed, Space is the Place, The Lives and Times of Sun Ra. It's a paperback book. It's a reprint of a fantastic book about Sun Ra. And if you've not heard of Sun Ra, then you should check it out, but only check it out if you want your mind blown. All of these titles are available at bullmoose.com, where they will be shipped to you safely. Well, I think we've talked about it on the show before, and I think maybe if it would behoove any of our coworkers, our colleagues, to hear about Backline a little bit right now.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
Sure.
So I am on the board for a wonderful organization that we started last year called Backline. You may know it as backline.care, which is also the website, www.backline.care. And basically, it's morphing every day, and I'll get into that in a second on what we're doing. But, it started as a community of friends and colleagues amongst the artist and crew and basically the music industry in general, and a reaction last fall to what was going on in our communities with anxiety and depression and suicide. The organization was started in September of 2019 in response to the deaths that were going on and the anxiety and depression within our industry. And Hillary Gleason and Kendall Corso and a few others started a task force that was agents, managers, band members, crew, girlfriends, wives, husbands of crew and artists and everyone. And they got on And the main reason that we got on was to just share our feelings, which, what? That's such a crazy thing. And it was so heavy. And, we had members of the Allman Brothers family on there, and O'Teal, but then we also had some pretty big agents and managers, and everyone was like, this is how it's affecting me, and this is what I go through on a daily basis. And I don't think people understand that I'm also dealing with this anxiety and depression. And after that call, Kendall and Hillary and a few other folks, and myself included, kind of took from that, like, oh my God, we have to help these people get help. The one thing that kept coming back from these surveys and these things that we were doing was that no one even knew how to get started. Right? Like, I don't even have insurance. How do I get someone to talk to? If I do have insurance, how do I get someone to talk to? Who do I talk to? Do these people even know what I'm going through? How is some normal, some woman in glasses sitting on a couch who's 60 years old going to have any idea what it's like living on a tour bus, et cetera, et cetera. And so we kind of put all these things together and started to develop a way to try to figure out how to help folks. And basically we came up with Backline, and it serves right now, especially, is kind of a two-pronged approach. One is the case management program. So anybody can go to our site. There's a button that says get help. You click on that, you fill out some questions, and then pretty quickly, within a day, we have someone, a clinical director, get back to you and walk you through your options. And then we're starting to develop a huge network of doctors who want to help, who might have used to have been musicians or are musicians on the side. Hey, that's better than nothing. They at least know something about what we got going on. And as time goes on, we want to develop a curriculum for these doctors to take classes to learn more about the music industry. So we'll have, interviews and sessions with agents, managers, road crews. We'll take them on a tour bus and show them where people sleep on a bunk, and just, get these people kind of more inside of our heads and inside of artists and crews' heads, so they know what they're talking about. Someone can say, man, I can't sleep on the bus. Well, then that therapist might actually know what they're talking about. Oh my gosh, yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. I can't believe you do that. Whatever. And so we have people that are coming to us, and we are finding them help, and it's super great. And now the second part that this is kind of morphed into with the COVID corona crisis is we are offering daily seminars online. You can go to backline.care or go to Backline on Facebook or Instagram and get all of the information you need. There are multiple Zoom calls a week, which are just giant therapy sessions with our clinical board and directors on there. We have doctors on there. People can ask questions and talk and share their feelings. And it's so heavy, man, and so amazing that everyone is there to help each other. It's become this really great community. They're also leading, I believe this week, starting meditation and yoga online through Backline. And so that's what we're doing, and it's been incredible. And please come help, donate. We do need to fund all these things that we're doing, and in a time like this, I know it's hard for people to think about donating and stuff, but we're helping a lot of people, and we need to keep that going. And that's our goals right now, are to help people.
These days, especially, I'm not really in a position where I feel comfortable giving anyone advice necessarily. You know what I mean? But I can share, and I'm happy to share my experiences and what worked for me. And I can say, and I have no problem talking about this and being really open about it. But like, I started my therapeutic process about 6 years ago now, and it really truly saved my life, because like before then I was just not in a good space. I was not being good to myself. I was not being good to others. I was just in a very, very dark space because I was carrying around a lot of shit that I thought was only mine to carry, and that I was the only, there's a lot of isolation that goes along with dealing with mental health issues, and you feel like it's just me. I'm a freak. I'm dealing with this. And the more I've kind of immersed myself, and I still do it like weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. Like I really am staying on it, because I am somebody that can recognize, or I do recognize that I need maybe I need a little more help in that department than maybe some other people do. In the same way that some people need insulin because they have diabetes. Like it's the help that I need in order for me to be able to be the best version of myself for myself and everyone around me. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, just having access to it was a godsend, for lack of a better term. It changed my life and it just made it so much better. So I'm to what point I can encourage somebody, if you're feeling this, if you're in our industry and you're hearing this and you're feeling like you kind of just want to talk about it with somebody, like, oh man, do it,
Just reach out, and even if it's a friend. But like you've touched on so many things when you were talking there about like what we've discovered in this is that you're like a perfect example of what somebody does, is that they realize that they need that help, and that's the first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, then how do you get it? I don't even know where to start. Well, we've made it so easy. You just get on your phone and look it up, and then,
Mm-hmm.
then you can fill out this form and they'll call you and walk you through it. We have doctors that will discount their hourly rates for musicians. I mean, we can help you get help,
Mm-hmm.
and the best thing about these communities, like you were saying, even if it's just sharing your stories,
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going on. And it makes people realize that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And, as someone who's been in and out of therapy for most of their life, it's the same thing for me. Every once in a while, it's like, you feel isolated,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're the only one that's going through that. And then once you realize that you're not, it's really helpful, and you realize that there is a way through it, and that there are people there to help, and there are people going through it together. And then there's that, again, I'll use the word community.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your community is there to help you. Take advantage of it, please. You're not alone, and people are there to help, especially now when you're feeling alone.
Yeah.
When you're feeling alone and you're feeling isolated, and you may have been furloughed, or you can't play gigs. And listen, I can't begin to imagine what it's like to not be able to pay my rent this month. I'm fortunate enough to have figured that out
Mm-hmm.
for myself right now, but like, I know there's a lot of people that can't. And so I'm not going to pretend that I'm up here on a high horse saying, I know what you feel like, but
Mm-hmm.
My friends are in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And people that I work with and people that I represent are in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do know what's going on. And I do know that there are other people out there that can help you through it. Not saying they're going to write you a check, but man, it sure is nice to at least know that somebody's thinking about you, somebody cares about you, and somebody knows what you're going through.
Or just help you sort it out. Help you sort it out so you can focus on the hard stuff, which is we've gone to a hand to mouth, society. Not that musicians weren't already there, but
right.
But just knowing that you have a ripcord and that you can like blow off some steam and be seen and be heard. And even more importantly, I think, be able to relate to people and have someone you can be able to say to somebody, I'm carrying this. If you build up the courage to tell somebody, another person, like, I'm carrying this thing that makes me feel terrible and super vulnerable and shitty, and you can have that person be like, that's totally a normal human thing. You're like, oh shit, cool.
Dude, I mean, it's so funny. Like, you and I can sit here because obviously we've both been through therapy,
Mm-hmm.
but what you just said took me 3 years to figure out.
Mm-hmm. I started 6 years ago, but it didn't kick in until probably more recently.
I know. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Everybody's like, everyone has the same problem as me.
Right.
Not everybody, but it's like, dude, yes, it's a shared thing. You can get through it. And just hearing those people say that, and just knowing that other people are going through it, and then seeing them on the other side, seeing them in the middle of it, struggling,
mm-hmm.
whatever process you are amongst that, I'm sure it's, it's the same kind of community and stuff with AA and any
mm-hmm.
of the anonymous programs and all those things. It's like, it's a community. It's people that are there to help each other because everyone is in it together.
That's right.
And that's what it is. So thanks for bringing it up.
Of course. So as we come out of this, and we will come out of this, what is your this. I mean, maybe it'll happen. I mean, actually, you could probably make it happen more than most of my friends. But what is your dream gig? Who do you want to go see? What's the bill you want to go see? Your perfect dream gig.
Oh, when I get out of here?
Yeah. Like your imaginary perfect concert in the sky. What do you want to see?
Oh man. It's funny. I've always had this dream of presenting Yeti Fest, you know.
Go on.
And Yeti's my nickname.
Oh, really?
Before the coolers were a thing. So this was my idea. Now, of course, it's like, well, just get Yeti to pay for it, you know, whatever. But I always just had this dream of like my band's all playing. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but like,
no,
I
it doesn't.
I love all my bands so much. Like if I could have the perfect concert tonight, I would have, you know, the Dusters and JJ and, you know, Ghost of Paul Revere and Lettuce and my, you know, Neil Francis, who's this new kid out there, and, you know, you get Leftover and throw them in there and you get you know, it's just like, man, it would be tough for me to say that. So instead of saying any of my bands, I would just love to go see Fish.
There you go. There you go.
Or
where?
I would love to go to the David Byrne.
Yeah.
To go see David Byrne. I was lucky enough to catch that 2 years ago in Chicago, and it was still to this day the best show I've seen since then.
He's a national treasure.
Never
David.
Saw the Talking Heads, you know, and seeing Byrne once before with a, you know, it was 10, 6, 7, 8 years prior with the dancing. I think it was, I can't remember if it was in a South American or African. Whatever it was not, I think it was right after he did that album with, you know, but it was not what I just saw, you know? So, yeah. But if I had to see Fish anywhere, like I would pick a small theater somewhere, not, you know, as much as I love Red Rocks, like, you know, or the Gorge or, you know, any of those places, which are just these epic places. Like I would just want to go see them at like, you know, Higher Ground or the Bowery Ballroom or something, you know, just hook me up with something like that. You know, I was lucky enough to go to that Met show for Fish in December, and, you know, it was just like seeing your band with the fewest amount of people they've played in front of in 20 some years or whatever. It was just like, whoa.
That's wild.
Took us all back 20 years. It was awesome.
I would like to see.
Yeah. What about you?
In a theater, I would like to see Paul McCartney do all deep cuts in B-sides. And I don't think
of like McCartney stuff,
of
like
McCartney stuff.
Yeah,
but the B-sides, the deep cuts, like, because he had this thing, like, especially throughout the 70s and in actually just really kind of like up through even like the 80s and early 90s, the songs that didn't make the record and ended up like on the B-sides of his singles and stuff were oftentimes like why the hell wasn't that the single? He's like famous for it, like just yanking.
Well, I would love to. You should put together a playlist for me or something then, because I would love that. I mean, you know, growing up Beatles the way that I did with my dad, you know, that was everything to me, was the Beatles. But I never, like, my dad was super into Wings and like into McCartney too, but that just never, I don't know, I just never did it for me. I think, you know, the few things that I got into that McCartney did after that were like, you know, the song with Michael Jackson or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. So you were, because that was like, because it had Michael Jackson, right?
And I was the biggest Michael. I mean, I had the glove and the pajamas and the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Every night before we went to bed, I was doing it. My aunt took me to see Michael Jackson.
Wow.
1985 or 80, whenever they played at Comiskey in Chicago.
Oh, is it the Jackson's Victory Tour?
I think
Pepsi sponsored.
That's what it was. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was.
It was 86. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 85 or 86. I thought it was either the Bad Tour.
No, Bad came out in 87.
Right. So this would have been Thriller or whatever the Jackson.
Yeah, in between.
Whatever
Thriller,
it was.
Yeah.
It was the first concert that I went to. And
not bad.
My aunt won tickets, I believe, on B96 in Chicago, and took me, and we were in like the 7th or 8th row, I think. You know, remember, I'm 6 years old, so we could have been in the very back, but I know that we had good seats. We won it on the radio station. I was on her shoulders. We were watching Michael Moon dance, and it was just like, whoa, you know. It's just like, you know, that for me was great. But McCartney, I've seen. Man, my dad, you know, they took us when we were kids to see him when we lived in Kansas. We drove to Kansas City and saw him play at Arrowhead Stadium. And
yeah, that was my first concert.
Was McCartney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget, man, when the piano lifted up and went out over the crowd and
Oh, yeah.
split 75,000 people in half doing, Hey Jude. It was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, what? This is the quintessential. And then when I took my parents to go see him at Wrigley a couple of years ago, and we got right down in front. It was like 120 degrees on the floor. It was so hot. And McCartney did like over 3 hours, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I never saw him leave the stage. I
didn't
never
even take
saw
a
him
drink
take
of
a
water.
drink of water. No,
No, it's crazy.
I was like, I kept looking. It's the only thing. My dad's singing. I'm like, sweating. I've already sweated through a complete shirt. Probably bought another one and sweat through that one. And I'm looking up there, and my dad's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, the dude hasn't drank water. Like,
yeah. He's a monster.
If I ever had one question for that man, that's literally what I would ask him. Not like, you and John still be writing tunes if he was still around. I'd be like, no, man, 120 degrees, Wrigley Field, July, whatever, 2017. You did not drink any water in 3 hours. I don't understand. Are you a robot?
I don't think that I've seen him. I've seen him live about 5 times in different eras and stuff. And I don't think I don't have any memory of in person or even on video seeing him drink water during a performance.
It's crazy. Must be a robot.
Maybe he just hydrates properly.
What's the greatest show you've ever seen? Like, do you have one where you're just like, I know what mine is.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my I had a 1, 2, 3 punch for my first 3 concerts. 1 was McCartney, 2 was Pink Floyd on the Division Bell tour where they did the resulting Pulse album, which was incredible. And then my third show was Paul Simon on the Rhythm of the Saints tour with Steve Gadd in a very intimate outdoor arena. And then there was a severe drop off after that. No disrespect to you, Marcy Playground, but like it was kind of hard to kind of get back up to that standard. I don't know. I think I have so many little moments.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, there's so many little moments, and I would say that going to seeing McCartney at it was Prince. Fuck, I don't know. I can't do it. I love it. I just love it so much.
You and I are in the unique position that we've seen a lot of amazing stuff over time. You touched on Paul Simon. My wife and I got to see him with that original Graceland band when he did that tour a couple of years ago, and he played at the Vic in Chicago. So, and I think they only sold like 1,200 tickets or something. And what? Like that was like one of the most amazing to see someone who I've been listening to since I've been listening to music, and somebody do a record that I have been. Well, most of a record he didn't do in its entirety, but like, mixing in with Rhythm of the Saints, which is, I know Graceland's like everyone's favorite, but Rhythm of the Saints for me is
same here.
Obvious Child, and all those songs are just like
Can't Run, but I can walk much faster.
Can't run, but you can walk much faster than this. I can't run, but I just with the drums, and I'm a drummer, so it's just everything was just of that album was so fantastic. And then it's funny, I was going to say one of my other favorite shows I ever saw was also at the Vic in Chicago, but they did that fan club show Pearl Jam did in like I think it was 2008 or something before the night before they headlined Lollapalooza, and they played a 4-hour, 5-hour show at the Vic the night before, and we got to go, and it was just like. Stuff like that. And my friend Mike LeMaistri, I'm going to give him a shout out from Jam in Chicago. He always makes sure that I find my way into these things, and it's always just like so cool. Foo Fighters, when they did the show in Chicago a couple of years ago before their HBO special, they did that
on the Met. They played the Met, right?
No, they played the Cubby Bear.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, and there was, I think they only let 350 people in. And I got to go, and I called my buddy who lived up the street from Wrigley. I live right there because most people aren't in the city anymore. So I was like, I got a 5 o'clock call. I was like, oh my God, who wants to go to the Foo Fighters? My wife was like, eh. So I called her friend that I knew was kind of into rock, and he was like, dude, are you kidding me? We went, and it was like, it was unbelievable.
They're an awesome band. I was just talking about a Foo Fighters experience I had the other day. I was talking about it the other day. It happened several years ago, but it was on the tour for Color in the Shade. Nope. There's Nothing Left to Lose, right? And they were opening, it was like a co-bill, but they were opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and we here in Portland got the last show of the tour. And the Foo Fighters put on a show. There was nothing the Chili Peppers could do. There was nothing they could do. The Foo Fighters just blew up the Cumberland County Civic Center. It was hit. They were playing their asses off. Grohl had like a wireless rig. He was walking through the audience and just like, he walked by me. I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, man. Like, just like so psyched. He's just like, let's rock. And then to end the show, Chad Smith had crawled up in the lighting truss. And then on the last tune, which was, I don't remember which one, like maybe Everlong or something, just like, or My Hero or some huge like Foos song. Right. And, Chad Smith is just patiently pouring out a 50-pound bag of rice on top of Taylor's head as he's trying to drum. And it was just the best vibe.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the Chili Peppers got up and they played fine. You know what I mean? Like it was a great Chili Peppers show, but it was just that was a moment where you just saw, it's one of those electric moments that can't be contained. It can't be bottled. There's no recipe for it and there's no way to recreate it in any other way than to be in the room. The crowd is giving the energy to the band. The band's giving the energy to the crowd, and it might even be the case where if you heard a recording of that show, you might be like, yeah, that's all right. It was kind of sloppy, but when you were there, it was like, it was fucking excellent. And that was one of those moments for me. So cheers to doing that again soon, huh?
I know, right? I mean, those are the kind of moments that we're all looking for. And the fact that like, I have one every year,
Mm-hmm.
I have one, it's just, you don't know, and you could be looking for it and yearning for it. And you didn't even know you needed it until you go. And I have to go to so many shows sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh man, I got the kids dinner. Michelle, I love you. Thanks for putting the kids down. And I get to the show and I don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, I'm like, I've been, transported to another place, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all of a sudden things are good.
Yeah.
And, you had a night and that you were touched by this music that you didn't know you were looking for and you didn't know was going to happen.
You didn't even want to be there, maybe.
You didn't even want to be there. And then it did,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, that was pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty special. And those moments, and that's all that we're looking for again. And they're going to happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get there.
People, we're definitely going to get there. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that, pursuant to our conversation earlier, I know personal time is hard for you and hard for a lot of people right now. So I appreciate you making so much of it for us here today.
Oh, no problem. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and as soon as we started and I hit you up, I was like, it's podcast time.
It sure is. Yeah, now it's like all of my interviews are phone-ins now, so like whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to, someday we should do this again, like a year or two from now,
Mm-hmm.
when we don't have to talk about what's depressing us for 45 minutes, and we can talk about more other stuff like music. We should just spin records and talk about it sometime.
So basically you want to hang out and smoke pot and listen to records?
Pretty much.
I'm in.
Oh, cool. All right, Spence. Well, hang in there, man. Be safe, be healthy, and virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, bud.
Bye-bye. It's time for Happy Hour, presented by Maine Spirits. Continuing our theme from last week, we are continuing to show you how to make drinks at home, which we have always done. But we decided to go back down to the very basics. The last video we did a martini. And I thought this video we would make a Manhattan. Why did I choose a Manhattan? Because I want to have one right now. I'm going to show you how to make one. And then when I'm done showing you, I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So let's get our tool chest together to make a Manhattan. We are going to need a tumbler full of ice. We are going to need a spoon, a bar spoon, to stir it. We are going to need a rocks glass because we're going to make a martini on the rocks. We're going to need some ice for that rocks glass. And we are going to need a strainer to strain our concoction into the glass. For ingredients, we'll need the following: 4 Roses bourbon, sweet vermouth, and bitters. In a shaker full of ice, we are going to add the following: 2.5 ounces of bourbon, followed by 1/2 of 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. And then a couple dashes of bitters. We're using a homemade bitters by a good friend of mine. Good stuff, Doveshanks. So now with the ingredients in the tumbler, let's take our bar spoon and stir gently. Let's stir gently. We don't need to make a thing of it. Let's stir the ingredients together until they are cold. And then in a rocks glass full of ice, because that's how I like it, but you can also do it up if you wanted to, like a martini, but bourbon. It's like a brown teeny. But in your rocks glass full of ice, now put your top on the shaker and pour it in and give it a little swizzle swazzle stir. And now let's take a sip because we've now made a Manhattan. We will continue this theme of showing you how to make delicious drinks at home. And back to the basics, the fundamentals, putting the fun in fundamentals. This has been Happy Hour. It has been brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can check them out online at mainspirits.com or download their app or check them out on Instagram at main_spirits.com. And please, for the love of God, follow my podcast, Spencer Explores the Universe, wherever you download podcasts. This is Spencer Albee, reminding you to drink deliciously and responsibly. Spencer Explores the Universe is brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can visit them online at mainspirits.com or download their app or visit them on Instagram at main_spirits. The show is also brought to you by Bull Moose, serving Maine and New Hampshire's music, movie, video game, and book and trinket needs since 1782. Also brought to you by Sun Tiki Studios at 375 Forest Avenue or at suntikistudios.com. Spencer Explores the Universe is a Mistakes Were Made production.